Hi, I'm Andrew Mefferd, greenhouse growing expert for Johnny Selected Seeds, and we're here in the trial greenhouse in Albion, Maine to talk about pruning greenhouse tomatoes. We get the question a lot of why you would want to prune your greenhouse or hoop house tomato plants, and there's a few good reasons. For one thing, it really confines the plant to a smaller area, so you can plant at a much higher density than in the field and take advantage of all this great vertical space that you have in your greenhouse or hoop house. The other reasons are that you'll get a higher yield and a more consistent yield over the course of your season, because what you're doing is you're balancing the amount of fruit produced into the amount of leaves that are on the plant, and so the plant will put out more of its energy into fruit production than if you just let it grow unpruned. And that should also lead to a longer season for you, because if the plant is more balanced, it will be healthier for a longer time and you should get a longer season. Before you can understand how to prune a greenhouse tomato, you need to understand how it grows. So a tomato plant, indeterminate tomato plant like we're growing in the greenhouse, puts on 3 leaves, 1, 2, 3 leaves for every tomato cluster that it produces. And the place where the leaf meets the stem is called the node. In every node, there's going to be a sucker, and a sucker is a shoot that, if left to grow, would develop its own vine. So if you want to keep the tomato plant to one stem, you have to take off all of these suckers. One of the questions that we get a lot is whether to do this job with your hands or with a tool. And I like to just use my fingers, because for one thing, I figure anything I can do with my fingers is going to be faster than if I have to keep reaching for a tool. The other thing is that you can actually do a really good job with your fingers. When you snap the suckers off when they're about 1 inch or 2 long, they snap off cleanly and heal by themselves, so you don't need to cut it. And the last reason is, if you're using any kind of pruners or cutting tool on multiple plants, they're going to transmit any diseases that one plant might have over to the next plant. So there's some really good reasons, if you can, to just do this with your fingers. Once you learn the technique, people wonder how often they need to prune, and it's probably something that you want to do on a weekly basis throughout the course of the season, because as the plant grows up, it's going to make more suckers and you'll have to keep removing them over the whole course of the season. About 2 months before the end of the season, it's a good idea to top your plant, which means clipping the end of the vine off, because when you're 2 months from the end of the season, the flowers that the plant produces from that point on don't even have enough time to turn into fruits and ripen. So there's no point in letting the plant put the energy into those fruits that you're not even going to harvest. It's much better to clip the top of the plant, as you can see has been done here, and then all the energy will go into the fruit from that point on. I think you'll find that with pruning your tomato plants, they will be much more manageable, the yield will be higher, it'll be more consistent over the course of the season, and it'll make it that much easier to harvest the tomatoes that you love. Like this Jasper, which is one of my favorites. Delicious.